She was the highest-ranking commander in the empire. Yet, due to an unexpected incident, she found herself pregnant with her best friend's child. The woman's name was Kalia. In this country, there was a knight order called the Red Knights. Its members were famed for their bravery, regardless of gender. In numerous wars of invasion, they steadfastly protected the royal family. Surrounding nations greatly feared them. And the one who earned this reputation for the Knight Order, the first-class meritorious commander, was Kalia. However, at this moment, Kalia was staring blankly at the instructions in her hand. 2 lines meant she was pregnant, right? She froze. The instructions slipped from her grasp and fell to the floor. After snapping back to reality, a radiant smile bloomed on her face. Then, she abruptly stood up. Reaching down, she caressed her belly. There was actually a child here. It was truly unbelievable. Because of the rigorous daily training, most female knights were infertile. Kalia thought she would be the same. But unexpectedly, she was pregnant. She recalled her childhood. She was an orphan, forced to scavenge for scraps just to survive. Until the age of 6, when she saved a young duke. From then on, her life changed. Kalia received help from the duke's family and began to learn swordsmanship. Finally, through her own efforts, she became the empire's supreme commander. Kalia came back to her senses. In this moment, she hoped she wasn't dreaming. She let out a long sigh. The next second, she jumped for joy. She paced back and forth in the room. After a while, she remembered that she was pregnant and obediently sat back down on the sofa. Suddenly, she remembered something important: the child's father. Currently, there was only one suspect. That was the young Duke Kalia saved when she was 6, Shaman. Shaman had now become the Empire's #1 mage, a war hero who stood shoulder to shoulder with Kalia, and also her best friend. Kalia held her head in her hands, distressed. What should she do? She shouldn't have gotten pregnant with her best friend's child, a mistake made in a single night. She couldn't help but curse. Immediately after, she went puri. She couldn't curse now. I'm sorry, baby. Mommy will be careful in the future. Kalia felt a warmth in her heart. It all felt like a hazy dream. She had always longed for a family, so even if it happened accidentally, it was okay. Kalia made a silent vow. No matter what happened, she would protect this child. This female knight discovered she was unexpectedly pregnant. Yet, she didn't dare tell the child's father. She even decided to retire and give birth to the child. At this moment, Kalia was extremely conflicted. Should she tell Shaman about the pregnancy? He was, after all, the child's father. Kalia furrowed her brow and had a second thought. The Duke's family probably wouldn't acknowledge an illegitimate child. Besides Shaman, the Duke's family would be difficult to deal with. Kalia shook her head. She decided she couldn't let the Duke know. But Shaman wouldn't make her get rid of the child, would he? After all, he even disliked humans. Although Kalia didn't expect him to be as happy as she was, the child in her belly was innocent. To her, it was a blessing. Kalia wanted to protect it. She had money and status. She could raise the child. There was no need to marry Shaman. The thought of marrying Shaman sent shivers down Kalia's spine. The two of them had been like brothers since childhood. They were comrades in arms and drinking buddies who talked late into the night. That was all. Besides, the last time they met, Shaman mentioned he already had plans to marry. He even had a certain young lady in his heart. After much deliberation, Kalia still decided against telling Shaman. If she heard Shaman say he wanted to get rid of the child, or saw displeasure on his face, even if it was Shaman, Kalia might kill him. Although he was exceptionally powerful with magic and quite fierce, as long as she planned it well. Kalia was startled by her own thoughts. She was actually thinking of killing Shaman. This could become a complete mess. Kalia looked at the uniform in her wardrobe. Her eyes were filled with reluctance. But now, there was only one way: to protect her child and maintain things as they were with Shaman. She had to retire, no matter what. Kalia put on her uniform once more. Touching the buttons on her collar, she remembered something from before. Shaman had told her, quite seriously, that buttons made of high-purity gold could be used to store magic. I've told you 30 times already. Why can't you remember? Are you stupid? Kalia chuckled, pulling herself back to reality. To be called stupid by Shaman. How could she have spent the night with that guy? She then looked out the window. The war was finally over. Now there was peace outside. Perhaps this was the perfect time for a war hero to disappear. This woman was the commander of the Knights. She became the Crown Prince's guard at 19. Yet, due to an unexpected pregnancy, she was about to retire. Just a moment ago, Kalia, dressed in her military uniform, walked down the stairs gracefully. She looked radiant and incredibly handsome. Herman, the night trainee, watched her with sparkling eyes, full of admiration. The commander is wearing her uniform. Her beauty is truly otherworldly. Commander Kalia is the god of war. At 15, she passed the Knight Order exam with the highest score. At 19, she became the Crown Prince's Guard, something most people achieve at 40. She accomplished at 19. She's a true genius among geniuses. Herman stepped forward and asked, "Are you going out? I'll get everything ready for you." Kalia smiled and looked at him gently. She reached out and patted Herman's head. "I want to go out alone. You stay here." Herman's face flushed red. He quickly lowered his head and said, "I'll go get Snow White ready for you." As soon as he finished speaking, he dashed off. Kalia watched him go inside. Although Herman was sometimes unpredictable, he was a bright and capable young man. 5 minutes later, Herman brought Snow White to Kalia. Kalia took Snow White's reins and was about to mount the horse when she suddenly remembered she was pregnant. Horseback riding was too dangerous now. So, she turned to Herman and asked him to prepare a carriage. Herman immediately agreed, but he was puzzled. The commander had never taken a carriage before. Kalia touched her belly. Although she didn't know much about pregnancy, she knew she had to avoid dangerous activities. She would have to be even more careful from now on. Soon, Kalia arrived at the imperial palace. She planned to go directly to see the crown prince. As soon as she arrived, she saw a group of noble ladies. They were all fawning over a woman. As expected of Lady Helena, you have such good taste. The bracelet you gifted is perfect for Her Highness the Princess. It's even engraved with Duke Sarnan's magic seal. Kalia suddenly stopped. She hadn't figured out how to tell the crown prince. Should she say she was pregnant and wanted to retire? Just then, Helena called out to her, "Where are you going? You didn't even greet me." That's rather disappointing. This woman was so good at pretending. In public, she acted gentle and caring, but behind the scenes, she was a different person. Just a moment ago, Helena had expressed some displeasure that Kalia hadn't greeted her. Kalia smiled apologetically. "I'm sorry. I was lost in thought and didn't see you. How have you been lately?" Helena gently reached out and touched Kalia's face. "I'm doing well, but you seem to have lost weight recently. Are you feeling all right?" As a half-elf, Helena had deep green eyes and an elegant aura. Although she was over 40, she was still as beautiful as a 20-year-old. She was the queen of social circles and also the grandmother of the child in Kalia's womb. One of the noble ladies said with a smile, "Lady Helena is so kind. I heard you treat Commander Kalia like your own daughter." Helena turned to her and replied, "Of course. Both the commander and shaman are the pride of our duke's family." Then she covered her mouth and chuckled. You wouldn't believe it, but despite Kalia's elegance and beauty now, she was quite clumsy as a child. The noble lady agreed. Their friendship is quite famous. Listening to their conversation, Kalia couldn't help but recall the past. Although she grew up in the Duke's household, she always lived in the innermost room of the annex. It was a place where sunlight rarely reached. She also ate her meals with the servants. Back then, if she wanted to see Shaman, she had to get Lady Helena's permission, needing a mother's permission to see her brother. What kind of family was that? Kalia pulled herself back to the present. She reminded herself not to dwell on the past. She owed her current achievements to the Duke's support. Helena only treated her kindly in public. But as long as Kalia remembered that this was just one of the noblewoman's little charades, she couldn't help but play along. He kissed Helena's hand. "Thank you for your concern. I'll certainly visit you when I have time." Helena said that it was settled then. It was getting late, and she had to go back. The Princess Michelle had asked a lot about Shaman. She wouldn't let her leave. Kalia laughed and said, "Then you must have had a wonderful time." Helena nodded. "Of course." Then she left, leaving Kalia alone. Before her stood the imperial crown prince, Louismond, a man with sapphire blue eyes, long blonde hair, and an aristocratic air. He was instructing Shaman to pick up the scattered documents. The wind was strong, and Shaman was standing by the window, enjoying the breeze. Shaman simply snapped his fingers, and the scattered documents all returned to their original places. Then Louismond asked, "Is Kalia coming?" Shaman replied, "He's on his way now." Louismond was puzzled. "I recall today is the Knight Commander's day off. Why is he coming?" Shaman gave a faint smile. "Maybe to see you. Maybe to see me." Louismond was speechless. I really don't know what Shaman is so confident about. Is he never going to confess to Kalia? Louismond rested his chin on his hand, suddenly remembering something that had happened 2 months prior. After the party celebrating Kalia's victory in the war, Shaman had started acting strangely. He was either constantly chattering or spacing out, and he became agitated whenever he saw Kalia. Compared to him, Kalia had always been the same. Shaman looked out at the balcony. I was going to see him because I'm leaving on business tomorrow. This works out perfectly. The next moment, a knock came from the door. Shaman smiled and said, I don't want to get involved in official business, so I'll be going now. As soon as he finished speaking, Shaman stepped onto the railing. Louis Mond was puzzled. What's the point of having a door if you're not going to use it? Shaman's smile widened. Because I don't want him to see me first. Be sure to tell me what you two talked about. Then he jumped off the balcony. Louis Mond watched his retreating figure with exasperation. Although it was a bit unfortunate to have encountered Shaman, he couldn't have become crown prince without the help of Shaman and Kalia. For the further development of the empire, he needed their strength. Just as he was sworn to defend the empire, Shaman was willing to give everything for Kalia. His feelings for Kalia were unmatched. Just then, Kalia opened the door and walked in. She saluted Louis Mond. Louis Mond quickly asked her, Is something the matter? Kalia looked at him and slowly said, Your Highness, I'm here to apply for retirement. This woman, the Empire's highest-ranking commander, due to an unexpected incident, was pregnant with her best friend's child. She could only choose to retire and raise the child alone. Just now, Kalia had announced her intention to retire, which startled Louis Mond. Did I hear that correctly? Kalia lowered her head and continued, You heard correctly. Please allow me to retire as soon as possible. As soon as she finished speaking, Louis Mond was thunderstruck. He shouted, What do you mean? You're actually retiring. He then rushed towards Kalia. Afraid he would bump into her, Kalia quickly caught him. Are you all right, Your Highness? Louis Mond's face was pale as he yelled, Whether I'm all right or not isn't important. Why are you suddenly retiring? Kalia calmly stated that she wanted a rest. Louis Mond readily agreed. If you need a vacation, just tell me directly. Kalia could only repeat herself. She wanted to retire. Louis Mond suddenly realized, Is it because of that shaman fellow? No wonder you've been so cold to him these past 2 months. Kalia had indeed been cold to Shaman. After all, his future was so bright. She couldn't very well tell the crown prince she was pregnant with Shaman's child. Kalia spoke earnestly. I want to live a peaceful life. Although retirement sounds drastic, if your highness needs me, I can return at any time. However, I want to leave for a while. Kalia then swore an oath, stating that she was not betraying the country or the royal family. Louis Mond was astonished, but with things having reached this point, he couldn't disagree. Kalia gave a bright smile. Although I can't explain the reason in detail to your highness, I might be starting a family. After the conversation ended, Kalia left the study. It was already dark outside. It looked like the rainy season was coming. The rainy season in the empire, though short, was intense. For 2 or 3 weeks, the rain would fall continuously. So Kalia decided to leave before the rainy season. Otherwise, it would be too late. However, there were still many things to prepare. First, she had to see Shaman. Kalia turned to look out the window and saw Shaman standing in the garden. A look of worry was etched on his handsome face. He stood motionless, as if waiting for someone. Can you believe it? This woman is only 19 years old, and she's already the highest-ranking commander in the empire. Looking at Shaman in the garden, Kalia couldn't help but recall what had happened 2 months earlier. That day, it was just a minor victory celebration. Everyone was drinking and showering Kalia with compliments. Shaman, however, stood silently to the side, watching her. Kalia had had quite a bit to drink, and her face was flushed. Shaman suddenly gestured for Kalia to step outside with him. They were old friends, and a single glance was all it took for Kalia to understand. They left the boisterous banquet and went outside for some fresh air. Shaman kept asking with concern, Kalia, why did you drink so much today? You should drink less. Kalia replied with a smile, I was going to drink less, but I was just in too good a mood. Shaman muttered damn it under his breath. Then he handed Kalia a glass of warm water. Kalia clutched the glass tightly and asked him when he had prepared it, but didn't hear a reply. She just felt a warmth spread through her chest. Shaman seemed gentle, yet his words were always cold. He was such a strange fellow. After finishing the water, Kalia handed the glass back to Shaman. With a simple spell, Shaman made the glass disappear. Kalia shook her head. Such advanced magic, just to make a glass disappear. What a waste. Just as Kalia was about to say she was leaving, Shaman grabbed her hand. I have something for you. Come with me. Kalia was curious. What could he possibly have for her? Shaman said it was Kalia's birthday. Kalia laughed. Shaman considered the day she joined the Duke's manor as her birthday. He really was so literal about strange things. 10 minutes later, they arrived at Shaman's study. Kalia opened the box and saw a row of scrolls. She was a little speechless. Every year for her birthday, he gave her scrolls. Shaman was truly practical. Shaman stared at Kalia for a moment, then began to explain how to use the scrolls. Kalia pointed to one of them. I know this one is used to summon you, right? Shaman gave a handsome smile. This one isn't limited by distance. Just tear it and you can summon me. He suddenly reached out and touched Kalia's face. Even if you're on the other side of the continent, I can find you. Have you ever seen such a magical scroll? Just tear it, and it can detect whether the person you like has feelings for you. Just now, as Shaman touched Kalia's face and said he could find her anywhere, Kalia shivered. She immediately swatted his hand away. Was there something on my face? Why didn't you say so earlier? Watching her rub her face, Shaman's expression darkened. He turned his head away angrily and muttered, "Idiot." Then Shaman shook his head. Forget it. I shouldn't have expected anything from you. I've been sending you signals for 5 years, and you haven't noticed. You commander who only knows arrows and war. Looking at Shaman's distressed expression, Kalia didn't understand what was going on, but she knew it was best not to provoke him when he was angry. So Kalia decided to leave. Just then, she noticed a red scroll on the desk. She picked it up. It had a line of writing on it. If you have feelings for someone, your body will act. If your body acts, it can make the other person have feelings for you. Kalia looked at it in confusion. What is this? The next second, Shaman strode over, trying to take the scroll away. Kalia quickly hid it behind her back. Shaman panicked, breaking out in a cold sweat. That's dangerous. Put it down. Kalia didn't believe him. She held up the scroll. This is dangerous. After receiving Shaman's confirmation, Kalia chuckled and said she wouldn't put it down. She waved the scroll. Then come and get it. Shaman stood there, his expression cold. Aren't you curious why I said it's dangerous? This is a scroll that can tell 2 people whether they love each other. Kalia was stunned. There's actually such a scroll. Shaman continued. Anyone who has even the slightest bit of affection for you, if they tear it open, something big will happen. For example, they'll be overwhelmed with the desire to kiss you. Before he could finish, Kalia interrupted him, her face flushed crimson. She quickly poured herself a drink to try and compose herself. Picking up her glass, she said to Shaman with a touch of coldness, "This is inappropriate behavior." Shaman laughed. "You're the one who needs to explain. I'm just trying my best to clarify things for you." One of the scrolls on the table suddenly fell to the floor. Shaman slowly picked it up. He then opened the scroll. It only works on people who have feelings for each other. Otherwise, it's just a piece of waste paper. He looked at Kalia and smiled. "Since you don't have feelings for me, it doesn't matter, right, Kalia?" This is the smartest man I've ever seen, successfully using reverse psychology to get the girl he likes riled up. Just now, Shaman opened the scroll and said that if Kalia didn't have feelings for him, the scroll was just a piece of waste paper. Kalia was surprised, momentarily speechless. Shaman smiled and said, "Besides, this kind of mental magic shouldn't work on you, right?" Kalia couldn't help but think, is Shaman provoking me? Shaman held up the scroll and offered it to Kalia. "I'm also a little curious if this scroll works. If our brick-like commander personally experiments with it, then there's nothing to worry about, right?" Kalia refused outright. "I don't want to do this experiment." Shaman nodded and retorted, "So you do like me. That's why you're afraid of what might happen, right?" As soon as he finished speaking, Kalia flew into a rage. She angrily snatched the scroll. Through gritted teeth, she said, "I'll just tear it open then." And with that, she ripped the scroll to shreds. The moment she tore it, Kalia regretted it. What am I doing? Why am I acting so childish? The next second, Kalia suddenly felt a sharp pain in her head. She looked at Shaman nonchalantly. "Happy now? Is it that fun to tease me?" But Shaman's eyes had turned slightly red, and his whole body shimmered with light, making him look incredibly noble and handsome. Kalia stared, mesmerized. Why is he sparkling? Shaman suddenly leaned closer to Kalia. He asked what's wrong. The moment his hand touched Kalia, she felt as if she'd been electrocuted. Her face flushed crimson, and her heart pounded in her chest. Kalia looked at Shaman, feeling that something was terribly wrong. She turned and tried to leave, striding towards the exit. Shaman quickly chased after her and grabbed her hand. Kalia flung him off. "I have to go home, no matter what." She then mounted her horse. However, before she could get far, the horse's legs buckled. Kalia cursed on her breath. She had no choice but to return. Seeing Kalia come back, Shaman was surprised. "Why are you back?" Kalia dismounted and strode toward Shaman. She grabbed his face. "What's with the scroll? Explain it to me now." Shaman was still bewildered when Kalia gripped his chin and moved her face closer to his. Due to an unexpected incident, this female commander became pregnant with her best friend's child. However, he claimed to absolutely hate children. Kalia was sitting on the steps, her face in her hands. Just thinking about what had happened 2 months ago felt absurd. She'd gotten a child overnight. Shaman, in the garden, noticed Kalia. Kalia waved to him and then walked over. Shaman sighed. We haven't seen each other for 2 weeks. You're always avoiding me. Kalia frowned, her face full of confusion. Me? Avoiding you? She recalled what had happened after that incident 2 months ago. She'd gone to apologize to Shaman, but he'd thrown her out. And then, the first time they'd met after that, Shaman had said that the family elders were pressuring him to get married soon, but he didn't know which lady to put in the marriage proposal. Hearing this, Kalia had lowered her head. If you get married, I sincerely wish you happiness. She then extended her hand to Shaman as a gesture of reconciliation. I'll take what happened that day to my grave. Don't worry. Kalia snapped back to the present. No matter how she thought about it, she hadn't been the one avoiding him. Shaman chuckled softly. In my current state, I really want to smash something. Kalia spoke somewhat bashfully. It was my first time doing something like that. I didn't expect it to be so hard on you, leaving you bettered all day. I'm really sorry. Shaman retorted angrily. That's not it at all. He then clutched his head and said, Do you think I earned the title of Archmage for nothing? I wouldn't be so easily affected by a scroll spell. Hearing his words, Kalia roared. So that day, you did it on purpose. We really are good friends, right? Because of that damn scroll, our friendship turned into desire. Shaman suppressed his anger. You blockhead. I'm going on a business trip for 2 weeks. I'll explain everything to you when I get back. I'll return as soon as possible. Don't run off anywhere before then. Kalia clenched her fists and asked nervously, Do you still hate children? Shaman didn't understand what Kalia meant. Kalia lowered her head. Aren't you getting married? Then you'll definitely have children. So I wanted to know if you still hate children. Shaman lowered his eyes, his voice icy. I still hate them, and I won't like them in the future either. The woman before him was unexpectedly pregnant. She had intended to tell the child's father, but learned that he intensely disliked children. Shaman stated that he would never like them. Furthermore, he had only recently decided to get married, but hadn't planned on having children. Hearing his words, Kalia smiled. She had already anticipated this. Shaman was still asking why Kalia had suddenly asked this. Kalia was exasperated. Because I'm pregnant with your child, of course. But she couldn't say it directly, so she remained silent. Shaman turned and waved, indicating he was leaving. As he walked, he took a small box out of his pocket. Looking at the small box, he sighed in relief. This is good too. Kalia was a straightforward and incredibly upright woman. Her hands were rough, her body covered in scars. These scars were marks of her hard work, the glory that would accompany her for life. Shaman felt a bit grateful. It was a good thing Kalia wasn't perceptive. But for someone so obtuse, what did she mean by saying that to me so suddenly? As Shaman pondered, his expression darkened. Could this have something to do with Helena? He recalled that day, 2 months ago. Kalia had left early in the morning. When Shaman arrived at the Moda Hall, he found Helena already waiting on the sofa. Finally, I get to see you. Did you sleep well? Shaman took out his glasses. Helena was the third princess of Ainz. Louis Mon had introduced her to Shaman at a party. Helena approached Shaman. Did Commander Kalia just leave? Do you know why I'm waiting for you here? Then she bowed to Shaman. I, Helena, Princess of Ainz, wish to formally propose marriage to Duke Shaman. Shaman frowned deeply. He had been in a good mood this morning, only to encounter such an unreasonable situation. Shaman refused directly. For the lady's reputation, I will pretend I didn't hear your proposal. Helena lost some face. She asked loudly, Is it because of Commander Kalia? I saw her leaving your room early this morning. Helena declared indifferently that she wouldn't pursue Shaman's past relationships. Shaman said coldly, Do you have anything to do with me? I don't think there's any need for us to continue this conversation. He then turned to leave. Helena called out to Shaman, Aren't you curious why I'm proposing to you? Shaman replied flatly, In this world, the only person I'm curious about is Kalia. 5 minutes later, Shaman looked at the note Kalia left, feeling utterly helpless. Even Shaman couldn't have imagined that he would fall for the rudest woman in the world. However, war broke out, and Kalia went to support the front lines, so Shaman didn't even have a chance to confess. After the war ended, Shaman thought his chance had come. But unexpectedly, after they spent a night together, all Kalia left behind was an I'm sorry. The man before him was the esteemed crown prince, possessing the greatest authority, yet unable to decide his own marriage. Just now, Louis Mond had invited Shaman out for a drink. Shaman felt it was sudden. Was something the matter? He looked at Louis Mond and asked, "Did you have an unpleasant conversation with Kalia?" Louis Mond had a headache. "It's Helena. She wants to establish a marriage contract with me. She supported us during the war, so she wants to secure the position of future empress. I had anticipated this, but my heart is still in turmoil. It's difficult. If you don't want to, just refuse. I can make up countless excuses for you." He gave a mischievous grin. "I can help you steal that fool's soul." Louis Mond burst out laughing. Although Shaman said it casually, it was still too easy to sacrifice himself. In Louis Mond's eyes, Shaman was more gentle than anyone. Louis Mond, having received thanks, declined. He couldn't disgrace Shaman because of this. Shaman then asked, "So, what did you and Kalia talk about today?" Louis Mond gave an awkward laugh. "Just some military matters." He couldn't help but complain about Shaman in his mind. Even if this guy was in heat, as long as it was something related to Kalia, he would instantly change his character. Louis Mond shivered, secretly deciding that he absolutely couldn't let Shaman know about Kalia's retirement. Otherwise, he would definitely be done for. Shaman nodded. "If there's nothing else, I'll be going then. I have a business trip tomorrow." Louis Mond wanted to ask Shaman to stay, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. In the end, he just told Shaman to come back soon. Elsewhere, Brick, the vice commander of the Night Order, knelt on the ground. Kowtowing, "Commander Kalia, please reconsider. I can't take over from you." Then Brick shouted, "If you want to leave, at least make me capable of taking over first." Kalia had a terrible headache. Brick had been like this for 3 days. There was no more time to delay. Brick asked, "If you must retire, at least give a proper reason." Kalia said it was a personal matter. Brick was still relentless. Kalia could only appease him for now. "Then, before I return, you'll be the acting commander. I might come back in a year." Only then did Brick reluctantly compromise. Kalia looked out the window. There was no time to delay. There was about a week left before Shaman returned. It seemed she had to act quickly. She hadn't transmigrated or been reborn, but had climbed her way up to become the Empire's supreme commander. Yet, due to an unexpected pregnancy, she was preparing to retire. Kalia sat in the carriage, staring out the window in a daze. It had been 8 years since she had been to the city center. It was truly desolate. Then she asked Herman to stop the carriage. Kalia slowly got out of the carriage and looked at the moss-covered alley. She couldn't help but recall her childhood in Shaman. It felt like it had happened just yesterday. But anything before that, no matter how hard she tried to remember, was blurry like fog. Kalia covered her face, somewhat doubtful. "How did I survive in that dark alley?" Just then, Herman suddenly spoke. "If we're any later, we might not arrive at the agreed time." So Kalia hurriedly got back into the carriage. She couldn't be late. 2 hours later, Kalia and Herman arrived at a restaurant. Herman looked around, noticing that the person they were meeting hadn't arrived yet. Then a boy's voice came from nearby. "Your hat is so pretty." Kalia turned to look. It was a boy drawing. He must be the waiter's son. He was so cute. She wondered what kind of child she was carrying. The waiter handed over the menu and apologized to Kalia. "That's my son. He's been a little disobedient lately." Kalia smiled and said it was all right. Then she ordered a few desserts. Herman, drinking orange juice, asked excitedly, "What kind of person are we meeting today?" Kalia stammered, unable to answer. The boy's eyes lit up when he saw the desserts. "It's lemon cake." Kalia asked him, "Do you want a piece?" Although the boy really wanted some, he shook his head. "Mommy will scold me." Kalia thought for a moment. "Then draw me a picture. I'll give you this piece of lemon cake as a reward." As soon as she finished speaking, the boy immediately started drawing. In no time, a simple drawing was complete. Kalia praised him with great satisfaction. "You really have potential. It's a wonderful drawing." The next second, a commotion came from the doorway. "Give me a tequila." Kalia's expression immediately turned serious. This woman had explosive combat abilities. She became the Crown Prince's personal bodyguard at 19. She was the Empire's supreme commander. How could anyone dare provoke her? Just now, a commotion had come from the doorway. A man in armor grabbed the woman's hand roughly. "You arrogant woman. If you don't have agave, go buy some." The boy, seeing his mother treated this way, was terrified. Kalia watched from the side, seething with anger, but still unwilling to reveal herself. The man grew increasingly aggressive, threatening to smash the small shop to pieces. Just then, a man wearing glasses walked over. "What are you doing? Stop it." The man in armor didn't take the skinny man in glasses seriously and ordered his men to kick him away. He yelled, "We're first-class warriors. Get lost." Kalia finally couldn't stand it any longer. She grabbed the man's hand. He turned around. Where did you come from? Looks like the rich little miss doesn't know fear. Kalia strode towards the man and threw a fork. The fork pierced the man's hand. He cried out in pain and immediately ordered his men to kill Kalia. Kalia took out a fan, and in just a few moves, had the thugs completely subdued. They all lay on the ground groaning. Kalia looked down at them. You're weaker than willow shear floating in the air. Truly irritating to look at. And she punched the man hard in the face. He was no match for Kalia. Panicked, he yelled, "Go get the guards." Kalia smiled. Will you be faster getting the guards, or will I be faster killing you here? The man hesitated, then immediately turned and ran. However, Kalia wasn't going to let him escape. She grabbed a nearby bottle and smashed it against the back of his head. The man collapsed unconscious. Kalia looked at him with disdain. You should be thankful there's a child present. That's why I avoided bloodshed. Kalia asked the waitress if she was all right. The waitress said she was fine, but was worried about the doctor. Kalia looked at the unconscious man in glasses. He's a doctor. What's his name? The woman slowly replied, his name is Alan. She thought to herself, this woman is truly worthy of being the night commander. She took down a bunch of thugs in just a few moves. Just moments ago, after finishing with the thugs, Kalia prepared to leave. She crouched down and spoke to the boy. Your name is Clark, right? If you want to protect the people you care about, you need to become strong. I can teach you how. Do you want to learn? Clark nodded. Kalia patted his head. Go to the Taxicate Academy and find someone named Josiah. He'll teach you. The waitress was surprised. That's not a place just anyone can go to. Who is this woman? She hugged Kalia tightly. Thank you so much. Could you tell me your name? I'd like to send you a thank you letter. Kalia blushed and said it wasn't necessary. She added that if Clark didn't study hard, she wouldn't hesitate to kick him out. Then she turned and boarded the carriage. At dusk, Alan opened the door and asked Kalia if she was ready. Kalia nodded and reached for a suitcase. Alan rushed over and stopped her. You can't lift heavy things. You must be extra careful in the early stages of pregnancy. Kalia sighed. Dr. Alan really is, as the rumors say, a real nag. Kalia had wanted her primary physician to come along, but he wasn't available, so she brought her cousin, Alan, instead. However, Alan was indeed very responsible. He took all the luggage and continued to remind Kalia of various pregnancy precautions. Kalia nodded. Alan's behavior made her feel like she wasn't pregnant, but rather terminally ill. Alan patiently explained that pregnant women are as fragile as newborns, which is why she needed to be careful. Kalia finally understood. As soon as she stepped outside, Herman was waiting at the door. Kalia couldn't help but say, "You'd be better off staying in the capital than following me." Herman gave a bright smile. Won't we be returning to the capital eventually? Besides, I've never traveled before. I've always wanted to see the world. And so they set off. Louis Mond watched the scene from the balcony, his heart filled with melancholy. If Shaman knew about this, he might kill him. But thankfully, his resignation had been negotiated into a leave of absence. You must return safely. Have you ever seen such a magical scroll? Kalia. As soon as it's torn, it can teleport you instantly. Kalia sat in the carriage and tore a Shuani scroll. A flash of light erupted. Herman closed his eyes nervously. When he opened them again, they had arrived at another place. Herman looked at the scenery outside and exclaimed, "It's the sea. We really teleported. It's amazing." Kalia looked at the sea and smiled. Let's go. We don't have much time. Kalia and Herman returned to the carriage. Alan was exhausted. He wearily asked Kalia, "This is already the 5th scroll. If it were an ordinary person, thought they would have fainted from exhaustion long ago." Kalia replied nonchalantly, "I've used 10 at most before." As soon as she finished speaking, Kalia tore another scroll. Shortly after, they arrived in a forest. Herman covered his mouth, feeling nauseous. "I'm going to be sick." Alan rummaged through his luggage and said, "It must be because of the repeated teleportations in such a short time. That's why you get motion sickness." He handed Herman a motion sickness pill. Kalia looked around and spotted a city. Alan consulted the map and nodded. "We still have a ways to go. We're headed to a place called Andik. It's a quiet, ancient city." Without further ado, they decided to set off, hoping to arrive before dark. 2 hours later, they finally reached Andik. Alan quickly arranged for a hotel. Kalia was very satisfied with Alan's efficiency. "It seems I was right to bring you along." Alan smiled and said, "You've been traveling all day. You must be tired. Please rest well." Kalia sat on the bed, surveying the room. It seemed quite clean and tidy. The quilt was fluffy and smelled of sunshine. Kalia lay down. She thought she would be exhausted after traveling all day, but she couldn't fall asleep. Shaman was returning tomorrow. He had mentioned having something to tell her. Kalia questioned herself. Is this really the best choice? I'm not sure, but I feel like I should do this. This woman was an orphan who had worked her way up to become a commander. She never expected her true identity to be something other than human. Kalia lay in bed, unable to fall asleep. I'll have to tell Shaman about the baby eventually. But why does he hate children so much? The little drowsiness she had felt vanished. Kalia stared wide-eyed. If I tell Shaman I'm carrying his child, he'll definitely make me get rid of it, won't he? Kalia slapped her cheeks, trying to stop her racing thoughts. Kalia got out of bed. Since she couldn't sleep, she might as well enjoy the evening breeze. She walked to the window and saw a large tree shimmering outside. Several children were playing in its branches. Kalia was surprised. Why are they still playing so late? Then the children seemed to notice her. Look, Kalia, it's a human. Is she half-elf? Her hair is so beautiful. Kalia asked, Are you elves? The boy smiled playfully. It's been a while since we've seen a human who can see us. Are you really human? Kalia had heard Shaman talk about elves before. The Elven Empire occupied 20% of the world's territory. Humans could rarely enter their territory, so they were very rare. They used giant trees as barriers, concealing the entrances. That's what was happening with these children. Kalia replied calmly, I'm human, and this is the first time I've seen elves. The boy was puzzled. Then how can you see us? He looked at Kalia's stomach. I know. It's because of the baby. Kalia was startled. How did you know I'm pregnant? The elves laughed joyfully. Because we can see the baby. Sometimes babies can see us too. The little elves gathered around Kalia. This baby is really special. Your belly is emitting a beautiful light. This child will definitely become a very special person. Kalia lowered her head. The elf's words felt like a prophecy, but she only hoped that this child would grow up quickly. Seeing Kalia's pale face, the elves panicked and hurriedly offered her some elf water. Kalia knew that elf water was extremely precious. It was the tears of elves and could cure all illnesses. However, she refused. I'm stronger than you. I don't need it. Then she reached out and hugged the elves. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Kalia waved and left. The elves who remained were very excited. It seems like it's not just her child that's glowing. The human's body is faintly glowing too. She probably doesn't even know she's not human. That woman is so lucky. Not only could she see elves, but she also received elf water that can cure all illnesses. Kalia came to the big tree again, but didn't see the elves. Are they sleeping? Just then, Kalia saw something sparkling nearby. She picked it up and saw it was a small bottle. Kalia thought that someone must have lost it. I should put it back where it was. Suddenly, the large tree beside her spoke. This startled Kalia. Was the tree talking? It has its own consciousness. Kalia asked, did the children put this here? The tree quickly confirmed that they had. Kalia gently stroked the tree. This small bottle looks just like elf water. I should thank them properly. Because she had come in a hurry, Kalia didn't have any gifts with her. So, she placed a box of cookies under the tree. Please thank the children for me. I'll visit them again when I pass by. In a distant building, a red-haired man was drinking. He looked at Kalia with some confusion. Who is that woman? Is she crazy? She's actually talking tenderly to a tree. The next second, the door opened and a silver-haired girl fell to the floor. She reached out her hand, pleading for help. The red-haired man grabbed her by the collar, leaned close to her ear, and said with a smile, "We'll help you." Then he led her to the balcony. The man pointed at the big tree. "Can you see the elves?" The girl trembled and said she couldn't. The man gripped her face tightly. "Melina, if you can't see the elves, then I've healed you for nothing." The man called out Diamond. A woman appeared beside him, and she immediately attacked the tree. The tree instantly lit up with a protective shield, blocking the attack. Melina's eyes widened. Why are the children there? Meanwhile, in the carriage, Kalia suddenly felt uneasy. Herman quickly asked her what was wrong. Kalia said she was fine. She was just suddenly reminded of the red-haired man she had seen. He's the prince of the Ahan Kingdom. The Ahan Kingdom had always been a neutral country, indifferent to war and economic exchanges. Kalia had been there once to trade for medical supplies. So she had met Prince Balpu of the Ahan Kingdom. Kalia was puzzled. Why would Balpu be here? This effeminate-looking man was the prince of the Ahan Kingdom. He appeared kind on the surface, but was vicious at heart. Kalia recalled her first meeting with Balpu. He had spoken to her in a very disdainful tone. "I've heard a lot about you. I heard it was you who elevated the status of the royal family." Then he reached out his hand as if to touch Kalia. Kalia said coldly, "Please don't come near me. If you touch me, I will cut off your wrist immediately." Balpu waved his hand. "How scary. You don't have to be so sensitive." "Commander Kalia, are you always this sensitive? If I had the chance, I'd really like to take it off myself." "I'm talking about your hat." Just then a lightning attack suddenly struck. Balpu shouted angrily, "What's going on? Who did that?" Kalia lowered her head. "Lightning magic. Someone's specialty. And traceless, high-level magic at that. It has to be shaman." Herman's voice pulled Kalia back to reality. "We've arrived." Kalia was very worried. Just in case, she decided to tell Brick first. After all, Balpu seemed very sinister. Kalia used telepathy to speak with Brick. As soon as the connection was established, Brick's loud voice came through. "Commander Kalia, where are you? Shaman is demanding that I hand you over. After he found out you weren't home yesterday, he trashed the whole place. He still won't let anyone near him." Kalia covered her face, unable to bear it. Even if he was angry, he shouldn't have wrecked the house. Then, turning to business, Kalia instructed Brick to investigate the matter concerning Balpu. Brick's expression turned serious. "That wretched prince. That's unusual." After giving her instructions, Kalia told Brick to keep her situation a secret from Shaman. Brick expressed some concern. "What if Shaman uses mind control on me? Then there's nothing we can do." Hearing Brick's words, Kalia couldn't help but think to herself, Shaman wouldn't do that, would he? After all, they're just friends. Time was running out. If she went back and Balpu recognized her, things would get even more complicated. So it was best to leave as soon as possible. An idea suddenly struck Kalia. She quickly told Brick to inform Shaman that she was currently in Andike, then immediately ended the communication. She then ordered Herman to depart at once and leave this place. Kalia used several teleportation scrolls. Everyone was breathless from exhaustion. But at such a distance, Shaman shouldn't be able to find them easily. So Kalia led the three of them to a small inn. "Excuse me, my cousin and younger sister aren't feeling well. Could we impose on your hospitality?" Due to an unexpected incident, this woman became pregnant with her best friend's child. But she hid it from everyone and left, wanting to give birth in secret. Kalia was lying in bed as Alan examined her with magic. He smiled. "The baby is growing day by day." Then Alan waved his hand, and a magical screen appeared in the air. They could see the baby in Kalia's belly, already developed into a small embryo. A blissful smile spread across Kalia's face. The child had grown so much in such a short time, but she still needed to be extra careful. Alan shakily packed up his medical kit. Although exhausted, he still carefully gave some advice for pregnant women before tremblingly taking his leave. Kalia was speechless. It was just a checkup. Was it really that tiring? Kalia looked out the window, and her thoughts drifted to Shaman. "Shaman, did you find those children in Andike?" Others might not be able to see them, but Shaman had elven blood flowing through his veins, so he could see the elves. Kalia gently caressed her belly. "I can see those children thanks to the baby in my womb. It's Shaman's bloodline. I hope they'll be all right." Shaman's face filled Kalia's mind. She found it strange. Now that she was far away from Shaman, she thought about him constantly. Kalia whispered, "Are you thinking about your father?" "I'm sorry, baby. My feelings for Shaman are only those of a friend and a brother. Brothers and sisters should care for each other and not cause trouble for one another. That's why I chose to leave." Kalia couldn't help but recall the events of that night, and her face flushed crimson. "Since I can't sleep, I might as well go for a walk." Elsewhere, Shaman caressed the large tree where the elves resided. He infused it with his magic power, but the tree didn't return to its original state. Shaman hung his head silently. It can't be restored. Magic power alone isn't enough. It needs sufficient time. And elven water made from joy. He felt incredibly frustrated. "Kalia, how could you just leave a letter and disappear like this?" Shaman recalled the contents of the letter. Although Kalia had told him not to look for her, how could he possibly give up? Just then, Shaman suddenly noticed that the tree had been struck by lightning magic. This puzzled him greatly. There's actually such a high-level mage. I should know about them. Shaman thought carefully. Kalia must have had a reason for leaving traces. So Shaman used a tracking spell on the tree. Soon, he arrived in the forest. A corpse lay sprawled on the ground. He reached out and examined it. The blood was a dark purple. Shaman stared at the blood, lost in thought. Is this an elf or a monster? He was the most powerful mage in the Empire, yet the woman he loved deeply had left without a word. Just now, Shaman had used a message spell to contact Brick. "Come here immediately. I need you to retrieve a body at the coordinates I'm sending you." Then he returned to the large tree and cast a protective spell on it, shielding it securely. At that moment, Shaman noticed a different light emanating from the tree. He turned to look. 3 small, distressed elves cried out excitedly, "Have you seen Kalia? She has light green eyes. She's a very powerful woman." The elf slowly opened its eyes. "The cookies are very delicious. That beautiful human has the same light as you." Shaman's eyes lit up as if seeing hope. "Are you talking about Kalia?" However, the elf didn't answer his question, instead vanishing on the spot. Shaman slumped against a large tree, powerless, and couldn't help but curse. The lead had gone cold again. Meanwhile, Kalia was taking a walk outside. Alan suddenly walked in front of her. Kalia was puzzled by his behavior, but Alan didn't seem to see her. She quickly reached out and stopped him, telling him there was a railing ahead. Alan kept murmuring the name Nidia, then tightly hugged Kalia, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry I couldn't protect you." Kalia didn't understand what was happening and kept patting Alan gently. Alan continued to mutter incoherently. Then Kalia remembered that Alan was talking about his deceased wife. She felt a cold sweat. Did she really resemble Nidia that much? Why would Alan mistake her for his late wife? Kalia grasped Alan's shoulders and shook him, trying to wake him up. Alan opened his eyes in a daze. He was startled, his face immediately flushing crimson. "Did I come out while I was asleep?" Alan covered his face and lowered his head, not daring to look directly at Kalia. "I sometimes sleepwalk when I'm very tired. I was almost cured, but I've been so exhausted these past few days that it probably relapsed." Alan apologized to Kalia sheepishly. "I'm so sorry you saw me like that." Kalia said it was all right. Then they both sat down on the ground. Alan asked curiously, "Why do you want to raise this child alone?" Kalia touched her belly. "This child is a blessing to me, a miracle." She paused, then smiled. "Although this child is not considered as such in the other person's eyes, that I still hope this child can be born with blessings." Alan looked at Kalia and said sincerely, "You will definitely be a good mother. This is the best actress I've ever seen. She can make others feel pity for her with just a few words." The next morning, Kalia sat at the dining table. The innkeeper greeted them warmly. The innkeeper spoke with disapproval. "Where is your husband? You're pregnant, and he's not even by your side. Why are your brothers the ones taking you out?" Kalia couldn't reveal her situation, so she could only pretend to be heartbroken and reply, "I ran away to avoid my husband. He gambles all day and doesn't come home. He also messes around with other women." As she spoke, Kalia almost burst into tears. "I really couldn't stand it anymore, so I ran away." This angered the innkeeper. She said sympathetically, "Your husband is truly trash." Herman quickly chimed in, "Just thinking about the suffering my sister endured makes me so sad." Kalia looked at the innkeeper and said, "If anyone comes looking for us, could you keep it a secret? I'm afraid my husband will come after us." The innkeeper nodded, assuring her that she would absolutely not tell anyone about their whereabouts. Mortashaman sat on the edge of the bed, utterly dejected. Where had Kalia gone? He had been clutching the blanket for 3 days now. Was he truly dispensable to Kalia? Shaman felt like he was going crazy if this continued. So he went to the palace to find Louismond. Louismond dismissed all the guards and asked Shaman, "Have you found Kalia?" Shaman shook his head dejectedly. So Louismond quickly changed the subject. "I heard you found a strange corpse in the forest. It looked like an elf." Shaman said he wasn't sure. Moreover, he had received many strange reports recently. Louismond pondered for a moment. It said that a foreign noble purchased an ancient city in the empire, and it's near the elven forest. Shaman replied coldly, "The problem is that this noble has a hobby of collecting elves." Louismond looked out the window. "Elves are an inviolable race. We must take this matter seriously." Then he spoke somewhat hesitantly. "So, could I trouble you to investigate this?" But Shaman refused directly. "I can understand you're leaving with Michaelia, because no one can change what he decides. But my heart can't accept it, so I don't want to handle any royal matters for the time being." Shaman stared coldly at Louismond. "Now, my patriotism and loyalty are almost completely gone." This man was truly audacious. He actually said his loyalty was almost gone right in front of the crown prince. Louismond frowned upon hearing Shaman's words. "Didn't I already apologize to you?" He said with a sigh, "If that's not enough, I can give you the first sword Kalia ever used. Haven't you always wanted it?" Shaman snorted and turned to leave. As Shaman walked away, he grew angrier with each step. Not only did they not tell him about Kalia's retirement, but they also ordered him on this assignment. Shaman was furious. He hadn't even found Kalia yet, and Louismond was already giving him other tasks. It was truly outrageous. Shaman arrived at the Magic Tower's underground laboratory. He demanded to know whose body it was. The researchers hurriedly replied that further investigation was needed. The body has multiple injuries, and while the blood is similar to an elf's, the organs are closer to a human's. The researchers continued. Judging by the appearance, he resembles the banshee who died meeting her family. However, his magic power is chaotic. Shaman extended his hand over the body and began to use magic. He detected that the body's magic power was indeed chaotic. If he were an elf, he should be able to use magic properly. Shaman asked again, "So, your conclusion is?" The researchers stammered the body. "It appears to be a chimera." Hearing their words, Shaman rubbed his temples and cursed in frustration. It seemed he had no choice but to accept that proposal. 1 month later, Kalia and 2 others moved to Lua, a beautiful city in the south. She was sitting on the sofa, reading the newspaper. The articles were all about Shaman. Kalia lowered her head. What was Shaman trying to do? He wouldn't appear in news magazines unless there was something important going on. Yet, here he was plastered all over the papers. Kalia couldn't understand. Did Shaman want to be a troublemaker? Kalia recalled a few weeks ago when Herman suddenly told her that Shaman had been unconscious for 3 days after fully unleashing his magic power. This startled Kalia. Fully unleashing magic power was like draining a mage of all their blood. What was Shaman trying to do? Was it for her? The female commander had become pregnant with her best friend's child due to an accident. For the child's sake, she chose to retire. Just now, looking at Shaman in the newspaper, Kalia fell into deep thought. When she retired, she had asked Louis Mond to keep it a secret from Shaman. Louis Mond knew that Kalia's decisions were rarely changed. He couldn't defy her, so he agreed. But Louis Mond had one condition. When Shaman found Kalia, she had to return to service. Louis Mond smiled at her. "The Empire needs you. I've already made a significant concession." Kalia knew in her heart that Shaman would go crazy when he found out about her sudden departure. Kalia stroked her belly, pulling herself back to the present. "Baby, your father is such a stubborn man. He might use all sorts of methods to find me before I'm ready. But mommy will hide well." Kalia smiled happily. She had apparently forgotten the saying, "You can't hide your genes." Just then, Herman entered, pushing a food cart. Kalia's eyes lit up. She was hungry. Herman placed a roast chicken on the table and offered to carve it for her. Kalia immediately refused. "I am faster." She then swiftly began carving, quickly separating the bones from the meat. Kalia smirked, holding the carving knife. Cooked meat is so tender, it's much easier to dissect than raw meat. Alan, standing outside the door, overheard Kalia's words. He shuddered. He decided to turn and leave. He had to go on this assignment at such a time. He had given instructions, though. Things should be all right. Alan walked to the front door, then turned back, still worried, and shouted Commander Kalia, "Please be sure to eat in moderation." After Kalia finished her meal, she wanted to go for a walk to aid digestion. She strolled through the marketplace with Herman, feeling incredibly relaxed. Herman smiled and said, "I heard that Lua holds a festival every spring." Kalia paused. Come to think of it, she had never attended a festival. Being here felt like a dream. No worries, just peace. Kalia couldn't help but think of Shaman again. She'd heard he visited the night school she founded every day. She wondered how the news would sensationalize it this time. This handsome woman, the Empire's highest-ranking female commander, retired to seclusion to have a child. Kalia and Herman were taking a stroll. Suddenly, a woman strode towards them. She grabbed Kalia's hand. "Don't wander around in this cold weather. What if you catch a cold?" Hearing the woman's words, Kalia felt a warmth in her heart. "Thank you for your concern. I'll be careful." Still worried, the woman was about to find a hand warmer for Kalia when a nearby vendor offered one. Kalia asked hesitantly, "May I take this?" The vendor assured her it was fine. Kalia smiled happily. "Thank you so much." Then, noticing the beautiful fruit at the stall, Kalia and Herman bought some before returning home. For months later, Alan was examining Kalia. Prenatal education is crucial during pregnancy. It's important for the baby to hear pleasant words and see beautiful things. Kalia nodded firmly, indicating she understood. Alan picked up a storybook, intending to read to Kalia's baby. Kalia, however, declined. She said shyly, "You're not the baby's father, so I should read." Alan nodded and left the room. Closing the door behind him, he leaned against it, Kalia's words echoing in his mind. "You're not the baby's father." Having spent so much time with Kalia and Herman, Alan had unconsciously developed paternal feelings. Kalia was right. Even so, he had experienced happiness because of Nadia. Inside the room, after finishing the story, Kalia took a photo out of a drawer. Looking at Shaman's face, she hoped her child would resemble both herself and Shaman. Falling asleep, Kalia had a long dream. In the dream, her belly was flat and Shaman was holding her tightly. Kalia frantically searched for a child. Shaman asked, "Do you want a child?" Then, smiling, he leaned towards Kalia. "Then let's make one." 5 months pregnant, this woman dreamt of playing cards with her best friend. Kalia abruptly awoke, her face as red as a ripe tomato. "I'm pregnant. How could I have such a ridiculous dream?" She reassured herself, "It's just hormones. And Shaman was in my dream because I looked at his photo before bed." Kalia caressed her rounded belly, comforting her baby, then went to the dining table. McKenna, while cooking, asked, "Is there a celebration coming up? Have you seen the gypsies?" Kalia replied that she had. They chatted briefly. Suddenly, Kalia remembered McKenna had 5 children. Curious, she asked, "Is it always lively when you get home?" McKenna laughed. "Lively. My ears nearly go deaf." She then rambled on about her children. Kalia hesitated, struggling to speak. Noticing this, McKenna asked, "Is there something you want to say?" Kalia stood up, blushing. "I do have a question." She glanced around. "Since you've had 5 children, you might know." McKenna smiled. "Ask away." Kalia spoke hesitantly. "I dreamed about the baby's father last night. It's the first time I've had such a dream, so I'm wondering if it's normal." Kalia shyly twirled her hair. "I don't know why, but I feel embarrassed." McKenna exclaimed, "Oh, everyone has those dreams. I had them all the time when I was pregnant with my first." Relieved, Kalia thought, so it's normal to have such dreams. Pregnancy is so strange. Blushing again, she realized it wasn't something to be ashamed of. "But why do I keep thinking about Shaman, even though he's so far away? Did he cast a spell on me?" Eating her bread heartily, Kalia thought that continuing life like this wouldn't be so bad. The pregnant woman's appetite was voracious, causing the baby's weight to increase steadily. Continuing like this would be dangerous. Alan was examining Kalia. A magical screen in the air showed the baby had grown considerably, now clearly developing a head, legs, and a body. Suddenly, Alan noticed something. "Look, is it a boy? It seems quite obvious." Kalia exclaimed excitedly, "My baby is so amazing. How can he be so cute?" Seeing Kalia's excitement, Alan quickly cautioned her against getting too worked up, as it wasn't good for a pregnant woman. The baby is already 9 months along. By the time he's born, he should weigh around 5 kilograms. Kalia stroked her belly blissfully. "He's grown so much." Alan, however, looked serious. A newborn that large could be dangerous for the mother. Even though you're in excellent physical condition, a baby that size could still pose a risk. He directly ordered Kalia to stop eating sweets. Kalia was immediately unhappy, but her health was the priority. The 3 of them, Kalia, Herman, and Alan, took a walk in the forest. The sight of the beautiful flowers lifted their spirits. Herman suddenly suggested visiting the elf forest. During festivals, the elf forest would be open under the protection of the first one. Just then, Herman spotted a sweet shop in the distance. Kalia immediately forgot her promise and told Herman to buy some sweets. 5 minutes later, Herman returned with several skewers of candied hawthorns. Kalia happily shared them with Alan, who accepted with a resigned sigh. Then they noticed a circus in the distance. Herman urged Alan to hurry, saying they needed to get a good spot. Kalia was also very interested, as she had never seen an acrobatic performance before. Herman said cheerfully, "Let's have some fun. My treat." However, when he reached into his pocket, he realized his wallet was gone. Seeing this, Alan immediately offered his own wallet. "Use mine for today." Herman exclaimed gratefully and declared that they were going to have a blast. Watching their happy faces, Kalia smiled. "This is so wonderful, but why do I always feel this emptiness? Like I've forgotten something." This man was the Empire's highest-ranking mage. Yet, he had been secretly in love with a girl for years without the courage to confess. At this moment, Shaman was lying in bed. He opened his eyes, his mind filled with images of Kalia. "Kalia, where are you? Come back, please." Shaman decided that if he ever saw Kalia again, he would tie her hands and feet. He slowly sat up, a thought suddenly occurring to him. "I should just die and get in the newspapers." But then he reconsidered. What if he died and Kalia still didn't come back? Shaman had a terrible headache. He had thought that being friends meant they could always be together. Apparently not. He had earned the title of Grand Mage for Kalia. Without her, he wasn't happy at all. From the day Kalia saved him, Shaman had belonged only to her. He looked at the pink pearl. If only I had confessed sooner. Would things be different? Shaman recalled a business trip where he and his subordinates visited an academy. As a level 12 Grand Mage, Shaman was the center of attention wherever he went. The surrounding girls blushed. It's the first time I've been this close to Master Shaman. He's the most handsome man in the Empire. Shaman's subordinates, Henry and Tavon, rolled their eyes. What good is being handsome? That guy's a demon. Another subordinate, Derek, was puzzled. He looked at the scroll, perplexed. The day this scroll was used, I found a rope in the dormitory. A disturbing thought crossed Derek's mind. Could it be? Commander Kalia discovered the scroll's properties and imprisoned Master Shaman in anger. Derek broke out in a cold sweat. If that were true, he would have been dealt with by Shaman already. He breathed a sigh of relief. He was still alive and well. He double-checked the scroll when he got back. Eager to return to Kalia, Shaman finished his business as quickly as possible. On his way home, he saw someone selling pink pearls. These were extremely rare pearls, symbolizing eternal love. His subordinates were discussing them. Someone mentioned that the giver and receiver would die at the same moment, so many lovers avoided giving them as gifts. Hearing this, Shaman turned and strode into the shop, buying the pink pearl without hesitation. A smile played on Shaman's lips. Eternal love and dying at the same moment. If I go back tomorrow, how should I give this to Kalia? I really want to see her soon. Looking closely at this pregnant woman, she's actually teaching someone swordsmanship. Herman, his face dripping with sweat, persisted in his training. He gave Kalia a bright smile. After you have the baby, you probably won't have time for me, so I have to learn properly from you now. Kalia spoke softly. This is what I should teach you as your commander. But do you really not want to go to the capital and learn from other commander subordinates? Herman chuckled. I only want to be your subordinate. From the moment you helped me, I made up my mind to follow Commander Kalia for life. Due to her late pregnancy, Kalia was becoming increasingly cautious. She returned to her room and looked out the window at Herman. Although Herman lacked combat experience, he was still very talented. The next day, Kalia was sitting in the market drawing portraits when she suddenly heard someone shout, "Mama." She quickly turned her head. It was a little girl, crying as she rushed into her mother's arms. Seeing the little girl crying, her mother was also worried and quickly asked her what had happened. The little girl cried as she spoke, "See Jean." She went into the elf forest. As soon as she finished speaking, her mother shivered, her face full of terror. She immediately told the little girl to tell Mrs. McKenna about this and that she was going to the police station. Kalia, who was nearby, also realized something serious had happened and immediately took Herman back with her. Alan was startled to see the two of them rush back. Kalia didn't have time to explain everything. She told Alan to get ready immediately. McKenna's daughter, C. Jean, has entered the elf forest. Beside them, McKenna's face was pale. "I'm so sorry, madam. Something's happened at home, and I have to go back." Kalia expressed her understanding. After all, the children had already been missing for 2 hours. After Herman and Alan returned from investigating at the police station, they learned that the children had wandered into the forest while chasing a balloon. They had accidentally crossed the boundary and entered the forest. Alan was very worried. Even adults have difficulty getting out of the elf forest, let alone children. The defense team has already sent people to search. Kalia pondered for a moment and then said, "There will probably be volunteers going in a search, right? After sunset, the elf forest becomes very dangerous." Hearing Kalia's words, Alan immediately understood what she meant. You're not going to go in and search yourself, are you? It's too dangerous there. However, Kalia simply said, the elf forest is indeed dangerous, but that's for ordinary people. This woman, 9 months pregnant, was determined to enter the dangerous elf forest to save the children. Just now, Kalia had decided to enter the elf forest herself. If the sun went down, the children would likely be lost, as even she would have difficulty in navigating the forest at night. Kalia stroked her belly. In this village, the only one who could save the children was herself. Kalia closed her eyes. If it were her in the past, she would have gone without hesitation. But now, things were different. Kalia spoke softly. Even if I have no power, if you, my baby, were trapped in the forest, I would do everything in my power to save you. Then she instructed Alan to wait for her outside the forest. Kalia smiled and said that she wouldn't go too deep into the forest. As long as they were careful of illusions, there wouldn't be any danger. Alan was still worried. After all, Kalia was pregnant. Kalia comforted Alan again. I also have a blink scroll. Then she spoke to Herman. Can you come in with me? Because you're the person I trust the most. Herman nodded vigorously. I will. 10 minutes later, Kalia and her companions arrived outside the forest. McKenna cried and begged the guards to let her in. She wanted to find her child. However, the guard stopped her. The sun is about to set. The forest is too dangerous. Herman asked in confusion, why is everyone so helpless against the elf forest? Kalia patiently explained to him, because the elves are hostile to humans. To them, humans possess a special and terrifying power. Moreover, there are many traps within the forest. They are difficult to deal with. Kalia walked straight into the forest. Herman said uneasily, aren't we going too far? Kalia reassured him, as long as we don't get lost due to illusions, it won't be a big deal. At least it's not dark yet. Kalia frowned. Although she had told Herman it was all right, the footprints she had seen at the entrance were not a good omen. If I remember correctly, those should be like in wolves. In Kalia's current state, she can only handle 2 or 3 at most. If it's a pack, things will get very tricky. But Kalia is more curious about how the monsters got into the elf forest. Herman gripped his sword tightly. Allow me to protect you. The girl before him possessed breathtaking beauty, but she couldn't speak. Her father gently stroked her face. I am Sore, Gaia. Daddy's late, but I'll give you a surprise for your birthday. However, Gaia kept shaking her head and tugging at her father's hand, as if wanting to go somewhere. Elsewhere, Kalia and Herman were inside a cave. The ground ahead was pitch black and stained with blood. Herman's body trembled uncontrollably. It would be dangerous to go straight in like this. Kalia tilted her head. Did Herman not trust her strength? Herman gripped his sword tightly. Kalia was pregnant, an expectant mother who needed protection. Herman trembled as he stood in front of Kalia. I'll be a human shield to protect you. Kalia indicated it wasn't necessary and threw a ball of light onto the ground. She covered Herman's eyes. The ball of light immediately emitted a strong glow, illuminating the entire cave. Kalia smiled faintly. I'll be back soon. Stay here and watch for other monsters. Kalia raised her sword, channeling power into it. Then she blasted a hole in the wall in front of her. Just then, 2 werewolves walked out, each holding a child. Kalia looked at the 2 werewolves coldly. They only brought out 1 child. It seems they planned to use the child as a hostage and escape. Just as the werewolves dropped the child and were about to flee, Kalia seized the opportunity and hurled her sword. The sword pierced the werewolf's back, and it collapsed to the ground. Kalia was utterly cold. If it weren't for Sasha in her belly, she would have torn these werewolves to shreds on the spot. Kalia stroked her belly, gently soothing Sasha. If Shaman were here, he would probably know something. The other werewolf was still restless. Kalia wanted to capture it alive to find the other child. Kalia exchanged a few blows with the werewolf and found it surprisingly difficult. Just as she was about to finish it off, a man intervened. He killed the werewolf with a single blow. Kalia frowned, unsure who this man was or why he had suddenly appeared. When the man saw Kalia, an indescribable emotion flickered in his eyes. This woman's constitution was too unique. She could actually see elves. Just now, Kalia was about to enter the depths of the forest to search for the children when an elf girl grabbed her hand. The child in Kalia's belly was also kicking incessantly. She looked at the girl in front of her, finding it strange. The girl seemed as weak as if she had no presence at all. Kalia asked, "Can't you speak?" The girl stared at her intently. Kalia sighed. "I don't have time to play with you right now. I need to find the children. Are you trying to lead me somewhere?" The girl nodded repeatedly. She tugged on Kalia's hand. Kalia said calmly, "If you're playing tricks on me, I will hurt you." The girl gave a breathtakingly beautiful smile and then led them into the forest. 5 minutes later, they arrived at a place filled with flowers. The ground was covered with colorful blossoms, and small sprites flew in the air. Herman was mesmerized and started playing with the sprites. Kalia found it strange. Why could Herman see these sprites, but not the elf girl in front of him? Kalia asked where the children were. The girl smiled faintly and was about to lead her there when a small sprite flew to the girl's ear and whispered something. The girl's expression suddenly darkened. She abruptly grabbed Kalia's hand. Kalia also sensed something was wrong. "We don't have much time. Tell me where the children are, quickly." The girl kept shaking her head, looking terrified. Kalia flung his hand away. "I said there's no time." The next second, he saw a mushroom footprint on the ground, along with a few drops of blood. He couldn't worry about it anymore. He immediately set off with Herman. The elf girl stood there, at a loss for what to do. A white dove brought news. The girl's face immediately lit up with joy. Meanwhile, Kalia was still searching. He took out a smooth travel scroll and couldn't help but think of Shaman. All these scrolls were given to him by Shaman. Kalia shook her head to clear her thoughts, then walked towards the cave in front of her. Kalia entered the cave without any obstruction, but Herman was blocked outside. This must be the boundary of the deep forest. Kalia didn't understand why she could enter. She then pulled Herman, and sure enough, he also entered successfully. But there was no time to think about it now. Finding the children was the priority. Elsewhere, the white dove landed on the shoulder of a man sitting on the ground, lost in thought. "It seems you found Gaia. Is she coming this way?" The dove nuzzled the man's face affectionately. Just then, the elf girl rushed into the man's arms, a joyful smile on her face. The man hugged her back. "You finally came, Gaia, my dear daughter." This pregnant woman, 9 months along, actually dared to enter the elf forest to save people. At this time, Kalia and Herman were slowly searching. A rustling sound suddenly came from the grass. Kalia immediately tensed up. The next second, a starving wolf, twice the height of a person, walked out. It bared its fangs at Kalia. But Kalia wasn't afraid at all. She immediately raised her sword and struck the wolf. Kalia frowned deeply. The monster's eyes rolled back in its head. It was also wounded. Its state was very strange. Looking at the bleeding wolf, Kalia's expression turned grim. This monster seemed crazed. She had intended to finish the wolf off with one blow, but after hesitating for a moment, the wolf darted into the grass and fled. Kalia lowered her sword. Forget it. With such serious injuries, it won't get far before collapsing. The two continued searching through the forest. They found some illusion mushrooms ahead. The powder they released could cause hallucinations. Kalia warned Herman to stay away, as they could cause mental confusion. Just then, a blonde, green-eyed girl suddenly appeared in front of them. Kalia was shocked. Why did she look so much like herself? The girl smiled and raised her hand, greeting Kalia. She didn't say anything. Kalia's heart suddenly began to race. What was going on? Herman, beside her, asked what's wrong. Kalia pointed ahead. "Can't you see someone there?" Herman said he couldn't see anything. Kalia lowered her head. Many strange things had happened today. An adult elf was wandering alone in the forest. Elves rarely acted alone. Could there be other elves nearby? The girl was still hiding behind the tree, happily waving at Kalia. Kalia began to suspect she was seeing a hallucination. Although she wanted to catch the girl and ask her questions, finding the children was the most important thing right now. So Kalia and Herman continued on. They heard crying in the distance, along with the smell of blood, and decided to investigate. Just then, the girl suddenly grabbed Kalia's hand. Kalia was startled, and a strange feeling arose in her stomach. An elf girl fell in love with a human. Knowing it was hopeless, she pursued him relentlessly, only to meet a tragic end. Just now, a man appeared and helped eliminate the werewolf. While Kalia was puzzled, Gaia jumped out from behind. She hugged Kalia tightly, snuggling against her. But Kalia didn't know who she was and could only ask. Seeing Gaia smiling but not speaking, Kalia introduced herself first. At this moment, the man beside them spoke. "My name is Carl." Carl walked to the werewolf's corpse and took out a stone-like object from it. Seeing Kalia's confused look, Carl explained, "This is a tainted elf stone. These elves can't find peace even in death. Someone forcibly transplanted elf hearts into monsters. They call these things chimeras." Kalia shuddered. How could such a preposterous thing exist? Carl said this sort of thing has been around for a long time. Some call chimeras dark magic. Others call it life-extending medicine. However, this practice has been forbidden. The closest place is Roya. These chimeras likely came from there, but there's no reason I wouldn't have sensed it. Kalia's face darkened. What if these chimeras were created long ago? Gaia gently stroked Kalia's face as if comforting her. Kalia didn't understand. Why would this elf show her kindness? He looked at Carl. "You should know this. Only one person can wield the inner spear, the Elf King. It takes a long time for elves to bear children. The fetus needs to grow inside the mother for 5 years. Only when the elf spirit is created during this time can the child leave the mother's body. All elves possess an elf spirit. However, some elves' physical growth rate and the manifestation speed of their elf spirit are inconsistent. Carl's youngest daughter, Gaia, was like that. It took her 8 years to be born. Compared to her siblings, Gaia was very frail, but she was a very warm and lovely child, so Carl always paid close attention to her. However, after Gaia grew up, she fell in love with a human. Human lives are short. Relationships with elves generally don't end well. But Gaia didn't care. Even if their time together was short, she wanted to be with that human. Even if her father opposed it, she was resolute. So Gaia left the forest. Carl regretted it. He shouldn't have let Gaia leave so easily. If only he had stopped her sooner. Then Gaia wouldn't have died. Carl's expression was desolate as he recalled the past. This child is a fragment of Gaia's deceased soul. That's why she can exist here in this form. If you can see the soul fragment, it means you have some connection to the elves. Carl suddenly pointed the spear at Kalia. Now it's your turn to answer me. Who are you? The Elf King pointed his spear at a pregnant woman. What was going on? Just now, Carl coldly asked, "Who are you?" Kalia was about to answer when Gaia stepped in front of her. "Father, you're being mean. That's dangerous." Carl was about to explain when Gaia pushed him away. "I hate you." Kalia felt warmth where Gaia had touched her. Just then, she heard Herman calling her name. She snapped back to reality. Elsewhere, Herman was holding two children. They were both unconscious. Herman had stopped their bleeding. He thought they should be able to make it back to the village. He held the children tightly. He couldn't rely on Lady Kalia for everything. Even if he was alone, he had to protect the children. However, in the next second, a giant werewolf appeared before them. Herman's face paled. He was terrified. Although he had a sword, it was too close. It was too late to draw it. At that moment, the egg the little girl was holding suddenly emitted a bright light. The werewolf was blinded and collapsed to the ground. Kalia arrived just in time and finished off the werewolf with a single blow. Seeing that Herman and the children were safe, Kalia was relieved. However, the little girl's face was tainted with black. It seemed demonic energy had invaded her body. Carl, who was nearby, overheard and approached Kalia. "Did you bring these children here?" Kalia nodded. They wandered into the forest by accident. Carl used his purification power to cleanse the demonic energy from the little girl. However, the egg she was holding gave Carl a headache. It was a dragon egg. This was the elf forest. A dragon egg couldn't have just been abandoned here. Carl said he had to end the egg's life. Without its mother, it will die sooner or later. Herman disagreed. "This egg protected us." Seeing the egg struggling to survive, Kalia thought of her own childhood. She too had fought hard to live. So Kalia decided to take the egg. Carl didn't understand. Humans can't handle something like this, and it will die eventually anyway. Kalia looked at Carl firmly. "This egg wants to live. I will take responsibility for it." She was resolute. What kind of magic did this egg possess that made two people fight over it? Just now, Carl wanted to kill the egg, but Kalia wouldn't let him. She insisted on taking the egg with her. Carl was frustrated. Even if they took the egg back, it wouldn't survive without magical energy. Kalia said she could imbue it with her own magic. Carl scoffed. "You mean your king? Or those insignificant mages?" He raised his spear about to kill the egg. Gaia stepped in front of the egg again, creating a protective shield with her power. Kalia was stunned. Why was Gaia helping her so much? Seeing his daughter like this, Carl couldn't say anything more and spare the egg. He used his power to heal the small wound on Kalia's face. "There seems to be something within you. The child's soul has a peculiar color." Carl closed his eyes and softly called out, "Ella." A dark-haired elf flew out. Carl instructed Ella to escort them out of the forest, as it was now the Dark Elves' active period and the forest was dangerous. Just as they were about to leave, Gaia grabbed Kalia's hand. She said she wanted to leave with them. Inside the magic research room, Shaman was using magic to read intelligence reports. Most of the information was about Kalia. She had been missing for a long time, and Shaman hadn't been able to find any trace of her. He was anxious but helpless. Suddenly, he accessed a crucial piece of information. Marquis Bonnie's recent behavior was strange. Previously thin as a skeleton, he had suddenly become healthy. Logically, his illness shouldn't have recovered so quickly. Shaman then summoned two pets. They affectionately rubbed against his face, incredibly docile. Shaman placed a bead in the smaller one's mouth and instructed it to scatter these throughout designated cities. Upon receiving the task, the two pets vanished. Shaman smiled faintly. This time, he had given them more magic power, so they should be able to travel farther. But where had Kalia gone? Every time Shaman thought about Kalia leaving, he became furious, wanting to destroy everything. Shaman kept reassuring himself that he would find Kalia, and his efforts had finally yielded results. He had finally found a clue about her. The woman this man had secretly loved for years had suddenly disappeared. He had searched for her like a madman and finally found a trace. Just now, Shaman had found a clue about Kalia. The townspeople said she was with a tall, handsome man who treated her very well. Shaman was incredibly jealous. What kind of man was Kalia with? If he could see her again, he would definitely keep her by his side. He desperately wished he and Kalia were on the same wavelength. Maybe then she wouldn't have left. Elsewhere, two elf girls were singing. They were locked in a cage, like larks. Bulb smiled and spoke. Keep singing. If you please me, you'll live a little longer. The elf girls trembled. Why did you capture us? Let's go. A snap echoed. Bulb's eyes widened. His connection with his pet dogs had been severed. He looked out the window. This meant they were dead. Who had killed them? Bulb had given these werewolves weak elf stones, so they could die at any time. But to avoid being discovered, he had to collect the bodies himself. He ordered his subordinates, let's go for a walk. Have the others keep an eye on these elves. Bulb's gaze darkened. If anyone tries any tricks, cut off their hands and feet. The scene changed. Gaia was still holding Kalia's hand, wanting to leave with her. Kalia couldn't understand what she was saying or what she meant. Kadlas puzzled. Why was Gaia so fixated on this child? Gaia explained that Kalia's child was about to be born and that it would be dangerous if she wasn't there. Carl reluctantly handed Kalia a bracelet. The bracelet contained the soul of an ancient elf and could summon any elf at any time. It was originally Gaia's birthday present this year. But now, Carl felt it would be better to give it to Kalia. If, as Gaia said, there was danger, Kalia could summon them at any time. Gaia looked at him with a grin. Please be sure to call my name. The next second, Carl sensed danger. It seemed a bold intruder had entered the elf forest. This woman was truly audacious, venturing into the dangerous elf forest 9 months pregnant. Dot desperately rescued the two children. Just now, Kalia and Herman prepared to leave, carrying the children. Gaia hugged Kalia, insisting that Kalia must visit her. Kalia nodded, then led the children out of the elf forest. The two children awoke, terrified. Kalia kept comforting them, saying, "Your mother's looking for you. Hurry and go see her." The villagers in the distance waited with lanterns. Mrs. McKenna was overjoyed to see the children return safely. She embraced her children tightly. Watching their reunion, Kalia and Herman headed back. Hopefully, Ellen won't chew us out. Just as they opened the door, they saw Ellen, a pot lid on her head, glaring furiously at them. Then came a torrent of scolding. "It's so late, and there's no sign of you two. You little troublemakers." As soon as she finished, Ellen hugged them tightly. Tears welled in her eyes. "I saw it was getting dark, and you hadn't returned, so I was just about to go look for you. You worry me so much. But thank you for coming back safely." They all sat down. Ellen was worried about Kalia's pregnancy. Kalia said it was nothing serious, just some fetal movement. Kalia gently stroked her belly. "Sasha has been very active lately. Maybe she's getting ready to come out." Kalia closed her eyes and rested for a while. Seeing her condition, Herman thought Kalia's life here wasn't bad. Much more peaceful than the Empire. Commander Kalia worked so hard before. It's good for her to live comfortably now, right? But then Herman became worried. He felt like Kalia was missing something. She seemed uneasy at times. Suddenly, Herman remembered what the general had said. He mentioned Kalia's lover. Herman froze. Of those close to Kalia, besides the Empire's Archmage, Shaman, there was Crown Prince Louismont. If either of them is the father of the child, it would cause a huge uproar throughout the Empire. Herman shook his head, trying not to think about it. Then he called Ellen over to look at the dragon egg they brought back. Ellen was stunned. This is a dragon egg, and it's twitching. This woman went into the forest for a rescue and brought back an extremely rare dragon egg. Just now, Herman asked Ellen to examine the dragon egg. Ellen never thought she'd be treating a dragon egg in her life. After examining it, Ellen said, "This is the first time I've examined an egg, so I can't give a definite diagnosis. But I can tell that this egg is in very poor condition." Herman suddenly remembered that when the monster approached, the dragon egg seemed to use magic to protect him and the children. Excitedly, he said to Ellen, "Now it's our turn to protect the dragon egg." Hearing about magic, Kalia had an idea. She infused the egg with her sword energy. Although I can't do it like a mage, it should still help. The dragon egg immediately began to shake, absorbing Kalia's sword energy. Kalia infused some of her energy and then let go, saying, "That's all I can give for now." Then she instructed Ellen to go find the Lord. It would be best to find a few mages. Looking at the dirty Kalia and Herman, Ellen, like a concerned father, kept urging them to go take a bath. Meanwhile, Balpu had entered the elf forest. He looked at Carl in front of him and asked curiously, "Are you an elf? Why don't you have the peculiar glow of elves?" As soon as he spoke, Balpu's heart began to ache. Carl said calmly, "You and the brat behind you carry a scent that doesn't belong to you." Balpu understood now. Carl possessed a formidable power and aura. Only the Elf King could emanate such power. Just then, Balpu's subordinate removed his hat, revealing a face that didn't look human. Carl panicked. He sensed a demonic presence. But they're not demons. They're demonic chimeras. What are they planning? Seeing the situation spiraling out of control, Balpu immediately ran. Several elves blocked his path. The elves had only one thought: to kill Balpu. Balpu was more than capable of handling a few elves. He grabbed one and threw it hard. The elf crashed to the ground. The other elves, afraid to approach, could only watch as Balpu escaped. Back in the house, Balpu whispered a name, Diamond. A dark-skinned woman immediately appeared behind him. She fussed over Balpu. "If you make a pact with me, this dark mage, you will not only be favored by demons, but also gain immense power." Balpu showed no interest. Diamond quickly changed the subject. "I heard the woman who went into the forest to save someone brought back a dragon egg. If you like it, I'll steal it for you. How about that?" Balpu finally smiled. "I really like you, Diamond." That woman was the commander of the Empire's First Night Order, but she unexpectedly got pregnant with her good friend's child. She ran away alone to give birth to the child. Meanwhile, Alan and Herman, carrying the dragon egg, arrived at the Lord's house. The Lord wasn't home, so they had to wait. They chatted to pass the time. Suddenly, Kalia was mentioned. Kalia was about to give birth. Alan had intended to take the dragon egg to the nearby Magic Valley, but Kalia's due date had moved up, so they couldn't leave for now. Alan felt a little melancholic. The baby is growing up so fast. We need to be ready for the delivery this week. But thankfully, she hasn't had any complications. Herman said with a smile, "I heard from the adults that her body feels very light. Aren't you being overprotective of her?" Alan had a headache. "Even after the delivery, she'll need proper care. You can't keep stirring things up around her. What if she develops lasting health problems?" Herman said he would do his best to attend to her, so Alan shouldn't worry. Just then, the Lord arrived. He was surprised to hear that Alan and Herman had brought a dragon egg. Herman took out the egg. It wasn't in good condition. This was the Lord's first time seeing a dragon egg. He wasn't very knowledgeable about such things, so he used magic to contact the nearby Department of Magic. Upon hearing about the dragon egg, the people at the Department of Magic immediately became anxious. "What's the condition of the eggshell and its temperature?" Alan answered his questions seriously. The man said they couldn't delay any longer. They could only hold on for 3 days at most. Alan was worried because they couldn't leave at the moment. So the man said they would send a senior mage, who should arrive within 2 days. Then he hurriedly cut off the connection. The Lord was relieved. Alan spoke slowly. "This dragon egg was found in the forest. A child ran in there after we knocked down the wall. Although the child was fine, we still felt bad. So we hope this dragon egg can be considered as found by the villagers." The Lord shook his head. "If you hand over a dragon egg, you'll receive a large reward." Alan pleaded with the Lord again. The Lord finally agreed, saying he would use the reward money to develop the village. Herman was about to hand the dragon egg to the Lord. As soon as the Lord touched the egg, it emitted an electric current, nearly knocking him unconscious. However, Herman, watching the wriggling dragon egg, suddenly changed his expression. "What is this thing?" This was a strange dragon egg. It not only required magic to nurture, but it also attacked people it didn't like with lightning. Just now, the Lord had been shocked. Alan quickly apologized, saying it was a spark from inside the egg, and he didn't know what happened. The Lord nodded. "I'm Fine, but it seems this egg doesn't want to stay here." Just then, Herman suddenly saw the Lord's eyes change. There was a vertical slit in his pupils. The Lord continued, "How about I protect this egg for you until the mage arrives?" Herman hesitated. This situation doesn't seem right. Elsewhere, Derek was sunbathing when he suddenly heard some important news. A live dragon egg had been found. This news thrilled Derek. He immediately got dressed and said he would return right away. Learning that the egg was in a nearby village, Derek became even more excited. He would be the first to see the dragon egg, and there was a mage traveling with him. Newborn dragons imprint on someone, and this imprinting only happens once in a lifetime. It's usually on their mother or mate. Derek thought that if he hatched the egg, maybe the dragon would see him as its mother. Although he had given the title of Grand Mage to Shaman, the title of Dragon Mage would definitely be his. Derek arrived at the magic distribution point and was surprised to discover that the mage accompanying him was Shaman. Derek was exasperated. Had he known it was Shaman, he would have stayed on vacation. He walked to Shaman's door and tripped. Shaman saw him like this and was exasperated. Then he walked towards the main gate. Derek wondered where he was going. Shaman plainly stated that he was going to retrieve the egg today and that Derek should return to Moda. He still had unfinished business. Derek knew it definitely had something to do with Commander Kalia. After all, ever since she disappeared, Shaman had become expressionless, his emotions completely unreadable. At this moment, Derek was surprised to find that one of the spirits was missing. How come Shaman's 4 elemental spirits were down to 3? Shaman casually said that one of them was playful and would be back soon. Meanwhile, Kalia was meeting with a mouse-like creature. Why would a spirit appear here? The first female leader is pregnant with her good friend's child. However, she hid this fact and chose to run away. At this time, Kalia encountered a rock rat in the forest. The spirit said the forest was on fire and it needed to check on things. Fortunately, the fire wasn't too big. The rock rat burrowed into the ground and disappeared in an instant. After a while, several small spirits flew over. Kalia greeted them with a smile. The rock rat easily climbed onto her shoulder. She knew the rock rat had brought the spirits. From the spirits, she learned that nothing had happened. Then Kalia asked about Gaia. The spirits said that Gaia only comes out on her birthday. If she wanted to see her, Gaia would come. This was the place where she was born in Gaia's favorite forest. Carl was heartbroken by his daughter's death. This ancient tree recreated her. Then the spirits left. After they left, Kalia had to leave too. Kalia told the rock rat to go back to its owner. Just then, a sharp pain shot through her stomach. But Alan said it wasn't time yet. Kalia could only endure and leave. Back in town, she ran into McKenna and his daughter, Seejin. Seejin greeted Kalia and then asked if she had saved her. Kalia gave an embarrassed smile, not wanting to talk about it. McKenna invited Kalia into his house. He had also thought that spirits had saved the children, but after hearing Seejin's account, McKenna immediately realized it was Kalia. McKenna's eyes reddened. "Thank you so much, but please don't do that again. You need to take care of yourself. You were about to give birth, and at the time, I was only thinking about the children being safe. I'm so sorry." Kalia reassured him that it was all right. McKenna couldn't help but cry. "I truly hope you have a safe delivery and a happy life with your child. You have to take good care of yourself because there are many people who care about you." Kalia felt warmed by these words. There really were many people worried about her. Becoming a mother had made her understand many things and made her want to live even more fiercely. "Come quickly, my child. This pregnant woman is about to give birth, but her doctor is imprisoned. What should be done?" Kalia learned from McKenna that Alan and Herman had encountered some trouble at the Lord's house. It seemed something had unleashed magic, so they had to stay at the Lord's house until a mage arrived. After returning home, Kalia was still worried about this matter. "There's no news at all, but they're not nobles, so they wouldn't inform me of anything. I'll just wait. If I go there rashly, Alan will be worried." At this moment, Kalia felt another sharp pain in her stomach. Things aren't looking good. Could this be a sign of labor? Kalia gently stroked her belly. "It will be all right." Meanwhile, Alan was angrily pounding on the door. "A pregnant woman about to give birth is waiting for us. Please let us go." Herman told him to conserve his energy. "That will only make your arm hurt. It's been hours." They're just pretending not to hear. Alan felt that Herman was too calm. "Aren't you worried at all?" Herman said he had given up. Now he can only wait. Alan was very worried. He didn't know if they would contact Kalia. He was really afraid Kalia would barge in here. Herman was worried about this too. Alan was restless. I had already warned him. He should be careful. I have a bad feeling. Not all expectant mothers give birth on their due date, because we don't know exactly when it will be. If preparations aren't made in advance, both the mother and child will. Alan's wife, during childbirth, wasn't fully prepared. It led to complications. Alan doesn't want to go through that again. He then went to bang on the door, urging us to go back. "I can come back tomorrow morning." Herman walked to the window. "Could we jump out from here?" He then kept looking around the room, trying to find a way to leave. However, in a blink of an eye, he found Alan collapsed on the floor. There was also an unknown black mist beside him. Herman panicked. "What is this?" He hugged the dragon egg and quickly retreated, hiding by the window. The door suddenly opened. The Lord, with a gloomy face, entered. His beloved woman had suddenly disappeared. This man frantically searched. He finally found a trace of his lover, only to discover she was 10 months pregnant. At this time, Shaman said he would die without Kalia. He didn't know why she left. Shaman clutched his head. How could I not look for her? Although leaving without saying anything was really unkind, how could he hate Kalia? Kalia was his salvation. Shaman said he must find her as soon as possible. Herman also understood. It turned out he loved Kalia so deeply, even to the point of madness. Although it might be a little dangerous, Kalia, knowing someone loved her so much, should fill her emptiness. Herman suddenly spoke. I can tell you where Kalia is. Alan immediately became anxious. This isn't something we could decide. Herman explained, we don't have time to delay any longer. Wouldn't it be better to go back and take care of Kalia sooner? Hearing these words, Shaman became anxious. What do you mean no time? Did something happen to Kalia? He emanated a powerful aura. I see you seem to be a doctor. If something happens to Kalia and you're still delaying like this, be prepared for the consequences. Just then, the rock rat spirit suddenly appeared. Shaman asked where it had been and why it only appeared now. The rock rat squeaked excitedly. Shaman understood. Did you meet that woman there? The rock rat kept nodding. Shaman read the rock rat's memories and saw Kalia. He kept repeating Kalia's name, his longing reaching its peak. Elsewhere, Kalia was stroking her belly. It seemed she was about to give birth. Alan needed to come back quickly. While she could still move, she decided to go downstairs and wait. Kalia slowly walked down the stairs. Then she heard a knock on the door. Who could it be so late? If it were Alan and Herman, they wouldn't knock. Just in case, Kalia drew her sword. Just as she called out to ask who it was, a sharp pain shot through her belly. Kalia cried out and sat down on the floor. The person outside anxiously pushed the door open. It was Shaman. Kalia was shocked to see him. Shaman remembered Herman's words. Absolutely do not frighten Kalia. No matter what she looks like, don't question her. But what Shaman didn't understand was what was going on with Kalia's belly. This man's lover had suddenly disappeared. After finally finding her, she was about to give birth. Just now, Shaman found Kalia and asked what was wrong with her belly. Kalia chuckled. What else could it be? It's just as you see. Shaman was shocked. Could it be from that time? Kalia immediately denied it. Just as she was about to speak, a sharp pain ripped through her belly. Shaman rushed forward to support her. Kalia gritted her teeth. Go get Alan. Hurry. Although Shaman was furious, now wasn't the time for jealousy. He picked up Kalia and activated a teleportation circle. Elsewhere, Alan was extremely anxious. Kalia needed a quiet environment. Herman kept telling him to calm down. The next second, Shaman emerged from the portal holding Kalia. Kalia looked to be in great pain, unable to speak. Alan quickly asked when the contraction started. Kalia was already in too much pain to respond. Herman hurried to find a room in the farmhouse. Shaman was incredibly anxious. It was the first time he'd seen Kalia in such distress. She usually remained stoic, no matter how badly injured. He tried to use magic to ease Kalia's pain, but Alan immediately stopped him. What are you doing? Using magic randomly could harm the mother and child. Shaman tightly gripped Kalia's hand. Alan said they needed to get some bread. Shaman immediately decided to go and get it. After learning the location, he left in a flash. He returned in less than a minute. The mayor's wife had made a room available. Shaman carried Kalia to the bed. Alan examined her and said that a midwife with experience would be arriving soon. They just had to wait for a bit. He then started to leave. Shaman grabbed Alan's arm. Where are you going? Shouldn't you be doing something as a doctor? Alan was forced to explain. Right now, the mother needs to be examined, and being by her side is what her partner should be doing. Since I am not Kalia's father, Alan smedet fintly. Childbirth is a very painful experience. Please, your grace, stay with her until the end. Shaman sat by the bed, watching Kalia. He wished he could bear the pain for her. Soon, Kalia woke up. She asked Shaman why he was there. Shaman held her hand tightly. Kalia, because you're here. This couple found a rare dragon egg and intended to give it to the mayor, but they were imprisoned by him. At this moment, Herman discovered Alan collapsed on the ground, and the mayor walked in with a sinister look. He grabbed Herman's hand. Herman panicked. What are you doing? He then kicked the mayor. The mayor staggered, and a black shadow appeared beneath his feet. Just as Herman was about to hide, the shadow attacked him. Herman yelled, just you try. Commander Kalia won't let you get away with this. The next second, the shadow disappeared. Herman opened his eyes in confusion and found Shaman and Derek standing before him. Shaman frowned. This place is terribly managed. He then used magic to tidy up the area. Herman was extremely nervous. What should we do? Shaman stared at him. Why is he here? Herman quickly turned his head. Thank you for saving me. Shaman walked over to Herman and crouched down. Where's Kalia? If you don't want to be burned alive, you'd better not play dumb. Just then, the mayor's wife arrived. Seeing her unconscious husband, she rushed to his side. I'll tend to my unconscious husband first, then I'll greet you. Alan, having regained consciousness, examined the mayor and determined he had simply fainted from exertion and was otherwise unharmed. Herman kept his head down, not daring to speak. Shaman stared him down. Have you collected yourself? Now tell me. Alan stepped forward and asked who Shaman was. Shaman looked at him coldly. You're that gentle, dark-haired man, aren't you? Where's Kalia? Both of them claimed they didn't know. I won't be fooled so easily, Shaman said. If you want to stall for time, I can wait. Waiting all night is nothing to me. Shaman glared at Alan with disgust. I really want to get rid of this guy. He'd heard that Alan had gently held Kalia's hand, but Shaman couldn't let anyone close to Kalia disappear. What if he was the one Kalia loved? Shaman could easily make Alan vanish. However, there were still some things he needed to confirm. Even if Kalia truly had fallen in love with this man, she wouldn't leave him in this remote place. Herman mustered his courage and spoke. I heard Kalia left a letter for you, Master Shaman, saying she would return someday. Why are you still looking for her? Alan, who had already figured things out, thought perhaps this man is Kalia's father. But Herman would never betray Kalia. He owed everything to her. Shaman smiled faintly. Why am I looking for Kalia? Because I might die without her. This woman unexpectedly became pregnant with her good friend's child. She chose to leave secretly and give birth. By the time the child's father found her, she was already in labor. Shaman held Kalia's hand. I won't ask anything now. I just want you to be in less pain. The contractions kept coming. Kalia was too weak to speak. Shaman noticed a bracelet on her hand. This isn't an ordinary item. How could Kalia have this? Kalia, eyes tightly closed, suddenly remembered Gaia's words. She cried out Gaia's name. The bracelet began to glow. Gaia quickly arrived at Kalia's side. Shaman looked at him, puzzled. He then cast a magical barrier, preventing Gaia from approaching. Gaia anxiously patted the barrier. The Elf King appeared. That's my daughter, Gaia. He glanced at Shaman, somewhat surprised. This triggering can only be done by someone who has reached the state of enlightenment. He's a being beyond human comprehension. Gaia kept patting the barrier. There's no time. The Elf King explained that he had come to help Kalia with the delivery. If you want her to give birth safely, she may need the power of nature. The child is also a part of nature. Shaman didn't understand what this meant. Kalia, forcing herself to speak, told them to come in. Gaia then came to Kalia's side. He held her head, and a brilliant light emanated from both of them. Shaman needed the Elf King to explain what was happening. The Elf King explained, it's giving the child the power of nature that it needs. He asked Gaia, are you going to give all your power to Kalia? If you do, you will disappear. Gaia looked back and smiled faintly. The Elf King understood. He took out a small knife and stabbed it into his own chest. Blood flowed out immediately. Then he chanted a spell. Give my soul to him. As soon as he finished speaking, the blood quickly congealed, transforming into a shining ruby. The gem flew to Kalia's stomach. Shaman anxiously asked, what are you doing? The Elf King explained, Gaia wants to shatter his own soul to do something for the child. But Gaia's power is very weak now, so I have to help him. The elf stone the child possesses is incomplete. The strange thing is this kind of kinship spell can only be used on those of the Elf King's bloodline. This woman was abandoned as a child and struggled her way to becoming a knight commander. It's only now, at the time of her labor, that she learns she has elven blood. Kalia was confused. Do I really have elven blood? Before she could think further, a sharp pain shot through her stomach. Kalia cried out in pain. Gaia's face was filled with worry. Elf King Carl said, you can call the human doctor now. The little elves immediately flew out the door. The next second, the door was pushed open. Alan rushed to the bedside. Carl held Gaia tightly. It will be all right. We'll leave it to the humans now. We just have to trust them and wait patiently. Carl carried the weakened Gaia out of the room. Everyone outside was extremely tense, especially Shaman. He clenched his hands, praying that Kalia would give birth safely. Half an hour later, a cry rang out. Shaman immediately rushed into the room. The elves were cleaning up the blood-stained sheets. Alan was finishing up. Kalia's consciousness was hazy. Alan happily held the baby. It's a boy. He's the heaviest baby I've ever delivered. Alan placed the child in Kalia's arms. You've worked so hard. Kalia gently stroked the child. I actually gave birth to this child. This isn't a dream. I finally have a family. Kalia smiled with happiness. Shaman couldn't help but smile as well. He stayed by Kalia's bedside until nightfall. Kalia, exhausted from the day, had fallen asleep. Shaman was filled with uncontainable joy, his eyes full of the happiness of having her back. Even though Kalia is always a worry, it's so good to have her back. Just looking at her made his heart pound. Shaman gently caressed Kalia's face. He kissed the back of Kalia's hand. You've been through so much. No matter who you are, no matter what secrets you hold, I will always protect you. Because you're my whole world. So please don't leave me. Kalia slowly opened her eyes. She saw Shaman by her bedside and was stunned. Shaman's eyes were full of love. You're awake. It took Kalia a moment to react. What's going on? It was as if she had unexpectedly become pregnant with her good friend's child and ultimately chose to run away. 10 months later, she finally gave birth. Kalia had already given birth to the child. It was a very cute baby boy, sound asleep. Herman was overjoyed. It's a pleasure to meet you, Lady Sasha. Lady Kalia was looking forward to the birth, and I've been eagerly waiting as well. Herman yawned, overcome with sleepiness. He soon fell asleep in a chair. The Elf King, Karl, immediately appeared. Sleep for now. Seeing what happens next won't do you any good. Meanwhile, Shaman was supporting Kalia. Although she had just given birth, her stomach hadn't fully recovered. Seeing Shaman supporting her, Kalia couldn't help but blush. I'm Fina. Shaman couldn't resist teasing her. Then why are you walking so unsteadily? Kalia hadn't seen Shaman in months, and he seemed even more handsome now. Shaman smiled. Should I carry you? I think that wouldn't be so bad. Kalia's face flushed crimson, her heart pounding in her chest. She felt a strange, ticklish sensation, but she didn't dislike it. Shaman embraced her. Just then, Kalia suddenly saw Karl standing before her. She immediately pushed Shaman away. Didn't you return to the elven forest? Karl frowned. It seems you're quite distressed. This kind of kinship spell can only be used on those of elven royal blood. Kalia was confused. She had no elven blood. She was clearly human. How could she possibly have elven blood? Karl walked over to Sasha. A newborn child only has one chance to receive the Elf King's blessing. All elven children receive the blessing. As long as Karl knew of the child, not one was left out. Karl touched Sasha's face and bestowed the elven blessing upon him. May you have strong limbs and a clever mind. May your ears not be defiled by flattering words. May your voice be as lovely as a singing bird. Sasha was still fast asleep. After the blessing, a mark appeared on his forehead. Finally, Karl kissed Sasha and said with a smile, and lastly, never leave your parents. Never commit an act of disobedience.